in IT industry, and I'm working in Snowflake from last 4.5 years, and DBT from last 2.5 years. Okay, let's start with the today's demo with the DBT. So, what is DBT? We all hear, right? This is the buzz which is going on currently in the industry, right? Who are looking for a job change with the Snowflake developer, right? So they are looking, the companies are looking for the DBT, right? DBT is basically a data build tool, right? So it is built on the top of Snowflake. Okay, any data warehouse, it will build, right? So we will see what are the different type of warehouse where the DBT can be built, right? So first we start, what is DBT? So first question comes in the mind, what is DBT? So the first thing we can say that DBT is not a ETL tool. Okay, people are coming in interview saying that we are loading the data using the DBT and all that, right? That's wrong. So DBT is a tool for transforming the data within your warehouse. Okay, so so suppose your data is loaded into warehouse, and inside that warehouse you want to do a transformation, right? There are certain things which we are not able to do with writing the SQL in the Snowflake, because we are focusing on the Snowflake side. Okay, so so the data warehouse can be any of the modern data platform, right? Maybe that is Snowflake, Redshift, BigQuery, or Databricks. Okay, so here the DBT is just T in ELT process, right? So we all know that, right? What is ELT and what is ETL, right? So sorry. Yeah. Uh, so DBT is basically for T. T is a transformation, right? So once the data is loaded into your Snowflake or warehouse, right? When I say Snowflake, there is a warehouse. Then on the top of that, we are implementing the DBT. Okay. So the definition is saying that the DBT stand for data build tool, and it's a transformation, allow you to transform the raw data into your warehouse. Whatever the data is there, raw data is there present in your warehouse, that will be transformed and load the data into the same warehouse only. So the data is not coming out from the warehouse and travels to the other environment. It will done in there only, right? Okay, and once the transform data is ready, right, so it can be used by the our BI team, right, or any data consumer which they are who are consuming the data, right? So raw data means there are some cleansing or some business logic we need to implement our raw data, right? So that in that place the DBT is coming to picture. Okay, so the same thing here, the DBT is T in the ELT, right? In the ETL pipeline, right, ELT pipeline, right? So normally what happened, right, now the storage is very cheap, right? So whatever the data we are receiving, we are just loading the data, and on the top of that, we are using this DBT, right? So the DBT provide the easy way to transform, validate the data in the warehouse itself, and okay, and it will be the T in the ELT, right? So using the SQL, we are writing this DBT. Okay, so DBT comes is a open source. First of all, it's a open source command line tool, right? So DBT is basically a one library in Python. Okay, and it is open source. And the DBT comes in two flavor. One is cloud and one is core. So when we say core, that is in CLI mode, and when we say cloud, it is in UI mode, right? So it will be like how we are using the Snowflake. Just create the account, everything is taken care by the Snowflake in the backend. Here in the DBT cloud, everything is taken care by the DBT lab, right? So, but the when we come to the core and the cloud, right? The cloud is chargeable, okay? For per ID they will charge, and the core is totally free, right? So in the maximum industry currently, if you see this, right, they are mainly using the DBT core, okay? So these are the things we have done, right? DBT does not extract or load the data, rather than it perform the transformation. So here we can build the models on two things. Either you can write a SQL or Python model, right? And in our course, we are going to learn the SQL model, how to create the SQL model and all that. And DBT DBT takes the code and compile into SQL and then run against our warehouse, right? So whatever the model we are going to create, right, that is in the SQL we are going to write, and that SQL code is compiled and then run against our warehouse only. Okay, so so this is our to understand this better, right? First, we know the clear concept of the what is ETL and what is ELT. So I think you all guys knows about what is ETL. So just I want to refresh this. So ETL is nothing but, right, we have a multiple sources, and from that sources we are extracting the data, and then we are transforming the data and loading the data into warehouse. These are the when we are in the 90s and 2000, right? That time the cost of the storage is very high, right? So what we are doing, right, we are extracting the data, and in while extracting only, right, we are putting some transformation and then loading the cleansed data. So in our warehouse we will see only the cleansed data, right? So some issue came, right, we need to go back, right? That time the data is not available, right? So after cleansing the data, right, the BI team, reporting team, or data science, anybody can use that, right, cleanse data. But when we come to ELT, right, so in ELT, what happened, right? So when the cloud come into picture, right, the storage is very cheap compared to the previously, right? Because at the time we need to infrastructure we need to buy, right, for the storing the hard disks and all that, right? We need to purchase, right? Company has to do an investment, right? So that why it's too costly, right? Everybody don't want to invest on this, right? If we want to cleanse the data, then load the data, right? Why should we keep that, right? Once the cloud come into picture, right? Pay as you go model, right? How much you are using and how much storage you want, and it's a very easy to scale up and scale down, right? Otherwise, in the traditional system, right, what happened? We need to raise a request for the purchase request will be or gone to the management, then it will got a approval. Then after the approval, then the hardware team has to implement. Then system will need to be um, what you can say that downtime is required and all that. But when that cloud come, right, so just we need to raise a request. In the back end they will do scaling and all that, right? So here in the ELT, right, what happened, right, we have different sources, right, the same thing, right, but only the things, the step change, all the steps are that only. Here we are doing the extract, transform, and load. Here we are doing the one step, we have just change it, interchange it, right? So we extract it, but we load it directly, and then we do the transformation on that. So if you see in the diagram, right, so our warehouse will be built on any of the technology, any of the cloud, right, or on-prem, right? Okay, so here we have seen that, right, Snowflake, BigQuery, and Redshift, right? So here the raw data is in the yellow box. We are saying that inside that we have a raw data, in then we are transforming the data using the DBT here. So the DBT play picture inside this warehouse only. Okay, and after that the same thing, right? It will be used by the reporting or BI team and all that, right? So this is a very high level picture of the DBT in the real companies we are working on that. So we are receiving the JSON data or different type of data, right? So just we are loading the data here, okay, in the Snowflake itself. And after that, the DBT will come into picture. It will enrich the data, means just cleansing and doing certain kind of things, right? And then loading the data into Snowflake. Okay. So transformation logic, orchestration, right? Change management system, test cases, right? Everything can be automated with the DBT. Okay. So why DBT? Okay. So DBT is an open source, right? It is an affordable price, right? That is the second thing. And for this, right, whatever we are, the person who is working in the IT industry from last 5 years, 10 years, right? They are knows the SQL and all that, right? So no any specialized skill is required for that. Okay, and it takes the full advantage of the modern cloud, right? About the modern cloud data platform, right? It is mainly built on that, right? And there is a built-in feature with the DBT is that version control, right? So suppose you have written one model or SQL, right? And tomorrow in one sprint they have some request, right? And in after the 1 quarter or second sprint, right, the client want that, no, we want to go with the back, right? So we are versioning control is there, right? Everything is automated, maintained by the DBT. Nothing's to done, right? And automated testing, right? Suppose you are getting a data of, say, customer detail, and in the customer data you find that email ID, and email ID is null. Okay, but the business is saying that we need to test the data, right, while loading into my main table or the final table, right? For example, we say like this way, right? So raw data, we are receiving a customer information, and in that customer information there is a column called email ID, right? That email ID column is, say, empty. Okay, or an order column, right? Or order, sorry, order table. In the order table, the revenue column is coming as a negative value, right? That test I want to do before loading the data into my Snowflake, transform that cleans data, right? So what DBT is doing, right? So DBT will provide that, right, automated testing, right? So whatever the model we are defining, right, on the top of that model, which column and what logic you want to implement, right? So my case is simple. I want to test email ID should not be null and the revenue should not be negative. So that automation we can do it, right, on the top of that. And the second thing, which the in the industry we are facing the issue, right? So once the code, everything is done, right, hit and trial, but so many changes are happen and all that. At last, we want a one playbook, right? Like documentation, where, when, what to flow and all that, right? Which table, what is the table name, what are the constraints we define, and what is the functionality, why we define this table, what is the functionality of this column, right? And from where the data is coming and all that, right? So that documentation is automated, generated by the DBT. Okay. And the second thing, right? Suppose you join a company, right? And that project is running from last 1.5 years, and you join in between as a DBT developer there. Then you want to understand, right? From where the source is coming. You are working on the enhancement project, right? But to know the pipeline, right, you should know the source and all that, right? So in the traditional system, right, we have to do a reverse engineering, right? Going through the code and going and understanding from the from the target to source we are going. But here they are giving the data lineage visualization. So that lineage visualization will give you from where the data is coming. Is kind of a DAG, right? A full diagrammatic flow. You will see that pipeline. Okay. So it is for easy for the team to this collaboration, right? So suppose you are coding, testing, documentation, and deployment, right? This everything.
Vicky, the templates are not changing. The screens are not changing. It is on the first screen only. It's taking.
Oh, why it is not changing? Just a minute. Oh, I thought that. Let me share it again. I don't know. What is the problem in this? You're able to see that, right? Hello.
Yeah, Vicky, we can see.
Yeah. Sorry, right? Let me repeat it again, right? So this screen you didn't see, right? Anybody can tell me, please? Hello? Hello?
No, this is the first time we are seeing this screen.
Oh, sorry. Let me recap. Apologize for that, right? So
Yeah, it's okay.
this is the DBT, right? And this is the tool, right? If you see this, right? And this is the DBT, okay? And here we have a raw data here, and here we are getting. If you see this, the data, right? The circles are there, right? Green and orange, right? Bigger circles, small circles. Here, what happened, right? This is a raw data, right? So once it is transformed, right, it become like the green, light blue, light green, here, and the orange like that way. And this data can be used. And if you see here, right, it is built on any of the warehouse, right? So these are the different symbols. I will tell you what this symbol. So this is for Snowflake. Okay. So are you able to see my next screen, right? What is DBT, right? Please confirm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So here we are talking about the DBT, right? So this is a T in the ETL, right? ELT, right? We have a T. The T is basically a transformation. So if anybody is asking what is DBT, is it transforming the data within a warehouse? So once the data is loaded into warehouse, on the top of that, we are transforming the data. So it is saying that DBT is a data build tool. That is a full form of this. And it's a transformation tool that allow you to transform the raw data into the transformed data, right? What the data which can be used by the business. Okay. Okay. And here it is saying that, right? You're able to see that, right? DBT is an open source command line, right? Just want to confirm. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So DBT is basically a open source command line. It's a Python library. Okay. And they are come in the two flavor DBT. One is cloud and one is core. At the beginning, they launched as a DBT core, and recently they come up with the DBT cloud. And DBT core is a free and supported by the DBT. And DBT cloud is a chargeable. It is giving the UI interface, right? Just create the account and you can play with the DBT. Whatever, if you know the DBT core, you can work on the DBT cloud, or vice versa. You can do that. Okay. And so I am talking about this thing, right? This is the diagram I'm talking about. ELT, right? ETL, right? So different sources, we are extracting the data and we are transforming and loading the data into the system, right? Data warehouse. And this, after the data is loaded, right, it can be used by the BI team or the data science or reporting team, right? But in case of this thing, right, ELT. So here we are doing the same thing, but one step we are changing. Previously we are loading after transforming. Here we are loading first and then we are transforming. That is called ELT. Okay. So if you see the diagram, right, here the DBT will come into picture. So once the my data is different sources, extract the data and load into warehouse. Okay. So before giving to BI team, right, we are using the DBT here. Okay. So DBT, what it will read the data from the raw and transform the data and load the data into warehouse itself. Okay. So this is my high level diagram which I am showing that, right. So I am receiving a JSON data, XML data, or from the marketplace. I am injecting the data into my warehouse Snowflake. And then what we are doing, right? We are writing some SQL here to clean the data or enrich the data, right? Suppose I am receiving a customer information, right? So customer ID, customer name, first name, last name, salary, amount, like that way we are getting, right? Revenue and all that, and email ID. The requirement is the business want, right? The customer full name should be there, right? So what we are doing, we are writing a model in the DBT, right? In that we are concatenating and then we are loading the data into Snowflake itself, right? And when I'm talking about this thing, right? Why DBT, right? So this is the open source, no specialized skill required, right? Because the person who knows SQL, they can work. There are different features of the DBT, right? So version control, because the DBT is having a connection with the Git, right? So whatever we are doing, it is automatically injecting to the Git, right? So from the Git we can maintain the versioning, right? So feature branch, what is there, what is in the release branch, what is in the main branch, right? So how the Git is working, right? The same way we are doing, right? Okay. Automated testing, right? I told that we need to write a test case, right? What you want, right? I want to check the not null, unique key, or relationship, or I want to check the accepted value, right? So suppose I have a order table. In order table, I have a status, right? Ordered, in transit, and shipped or delivery, right? The four status should be maintained. If any other thing coming in that table, right, it will throw the error because my test case will fail. Okay. So these are the things, right? The supported platform by the DBT, right? So first, the diagram which I am showing that, right? So it is a Snowflake. This is also a cloud warehouse, and BigQuery from the Google, and Redshift from the AWS, and Postgres is our open data source, right? On-prem, and they are supporting now Databricks also. Okay. So what we are basically doing in the DBT is that at a high level workflow, we can understand, right? We will create a model. Okay, we will test that model and then we will deploy that into our warehouse. These are the three-step process we are doing, right? So in our training, we are going through each thing with the practical. Okay. Today I will show you the interface of the DBT also. Okay. So when we are talking about the modernization, right? When the people are saying that I can do this with a Snowflake, right? Why DBT is required? That question will comes to anybody, right? So what DBT can do, right? That Snowflake can't do, right? So data modeling, right? The modeling I want to do, right? So I want to split the data, right? I want to create the mart at different, right? Staging layer different, right? Then I want to create a consumption layer, curated layer like that way, right? So modeling and the orchestration, right? Done by the DBT, right? So when we talk about the advanced feature of building and managing the data model, right? Here is the lack of that data modeling, right? Here the version control, right? So here they are integrated with the Git, right? So version control is maintained, right? No built-in version control is there, okay? And testing and the quality assurance, right? Because the what business want, right? The data we are receiving, right? It should be passed through the quality test, right? So here we can write the unable to write the test writing the test size to ensure the data quality, right? Here there is a limited to automate that, right? Documentation to it will generate the documentation automatically by passing one command. We can generate our pipeline documentation. No automatic documentation. That manual intervention is required, right? And here we are talking about this thing, right? DBT core and the cloud, right? What is the difference, right? So it's the same thing, right? How we are maintaining in our system local, right? On-prem, fully everything is infrastructure is managed by ourselves only. When we say DBT cloud, right? We need to run the command, we need to configure everything, right? But cloud, in case of cloud, okay, it is fully managed. Okay, so it is saying that self-managed we need to do, right? And scalability, right? So manual scalability is required, right? Suppose I want to increase the space, my what is that computation, right? I need to go manually, but here they will do automatically. Automatic auto scaling is there. Okay, here the interface is command line, and here the interface is user web viewer. Okay, the cost is a open source and free, and here we need to pay for the each seat. Actually, each subscription we need to do. So main feature of the DBT is basically this thing, right? It is a SQL based transformation, right? So the person who knows the SQL, they can write. Okay. Here we are doing the modularity, right? So each modules we are creating, like models we are creating, one model we are creating for staging, one we are creating for the curated layer, one for the consumption layer, right? And here version control is there, database testing, right? Data testing, we can do that, lineage, we can do that, documentation, and orchestration, we can do that, right? And the thing is that in the cloud, they have come with the feature, right? Deployment, right? We can use the CI/CD, right? So suppose we have created a data model, and that is we save into my feature branch. Okay, after the development is completed, right? That feature branch we can create an environment, and that from that environment we can deploy to production environment. Okay, so yeah. So these are the overall we are going to cover how to create the model, how to create the test, what are different type of materialization, what is seed, what is source, what is cloud features are there, right? And basically it is work on the Jinja. Okay. Jinja is a language, right? Is a templating language where we are using this DBT. So any code we want to write, right? Like control structure, right? For loop or some logic I want to write it, right? If statement and all that. So I need to use the Jinja, okay? And then we have to write a macros, right? So suppose I want to do some work, right? Which is repeatedly. So this is work on the concept of dry, don't repeat yourself, right? So that means one thing I want to use in multiple models, okay? So in thing, same thing. So we don't want to repeat that, right? how to do a incremental load, how to maintain the SCD. For SCD, right? If you guys work on the SCD, we need to write a code, right? Merge statement. I want to implement the SCD type 2, right? So what if suppose I have a customer table, in the customer table, customer ID, customer name, city. Okay. So suppose that customer is today staying in Bangalore, and after 1 year he moves to Hyderabad, right? And after that he moves to Chennai, right? And so I want to maintain the history, right? So in that, you know that, right, in SCD2, right, we are maintaining that start date, end date, right, from 2021 to 23 he is staying in Bangalore, from 2023 to 24 is staying in Chennai, and then from 2024 till now is staying in Hyderabad, right? So that history I want to maintain. To write that, right, in a traditional programming we need to write a code like insert, update, or merge statement and all that. But in DBT, just we need to configure it, right? What you want. I want this customer table to maintain a SCD. So that will maintain by the DBT. Internally, it will create the same thing which I am talking about, start date, end date, but logic, everything handled by the DBT. That is the main thing. And we have a hooks, right? So if anybody work on Informatica or any other retail tool, right? So there we are, when we are trying to load the data into a table, right? If there is any index is there, right? So we are truncating that index as a pre step. In the post, we are recreating the index, right? So they say hooks are there. So before running the model, what you want, and after running the model, what you want. So suppose I want to do a auditing, right? So once the model run, after that it will say that okay, this model has run and this many records are loaded today for the analysis purpose, right? So these are the things we are going to cover in our course. Any question? So I am ready to answer. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Any question, please? Or you didn't understand, so I can go back and hello.
Yes, it is clear.
So you are very clear, right? So we are going to start the batch, right, next week. Okay. So this DBT course we are planning for 15 to 20 days. Okay. So it will take some 25 hours or 20 hours in between. Okay. It can be up and down. And in this we are going to build one project. We are getting the data from the different sources, and so what's our plan is that, right? Where is that? Yep. So our plan is like that way, right? We have different source. We bring the data here, right, from the Snowflake. In the Snowflake, we are assuming the data is there. On the top of that, we will build whatever the blocks you are seeing that, right? Transformation, orchestration, and then data quality check and test. How to do that? Whatever the things I have tell you in the this thing, right? Uh, Model, test case, materialization, seed, source, everything will be there in that project. So you can show that in your resume and all that, right? So we have a two use cases are there, right, where we are building this. Anything else? Hello? Any question?
Can you repeat once again for DBT and why it will be used for Snowflake? Both combination difference you have shown. Once you can explain this.
What is the difference, huh? Okay.
Majorly you have shown that seat and exactly why should instead of replacement for DBT, instead we are using for Snowflake, that concept.
Okay. You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Just, yeah. See, here we have a feature, right? So we want to do a data modeling, right?
Sorry for sorry, but we couldn't be able to see that slide 15. Yeah, right now.
You're able to see now?
Yeah, I can able to see.
Yeah. So if you see this, right, data modeling and orchestration, right? How can we do that, right? In the this thing, right? Is Snowflake, right? So we have a models, right? Here we are dividing our things into different layer, right? I will show you the live, right? Then you will get more picture clarity. 1 minute. Let me open my DVD. Okay. Uh, See, so this is my cloud interface. Okay. So in the cloud interface, we have a different,
Sorry
right?
again, you have shared by presentation instead of your complete system won't be shared, I think. Just that slide part only we could.
Just, just let me stop sharing and sharing it again. And, now you're able to see my DBT cloud account.
Yeah, I can see.
Yep. So here we are doing, right. So if you see in the PPT, right, they are saying that data modeling and all that, right. So what we have done here, right, if you see here, I have done this models, right. Inside the model, we have created the this thing, right. Consumption is there. So in this consumption model is there, right. And here we are creating the processing. So processing is there, right. How we are interrelated everything, right. Inside that we have written the test cases and all that, right. If you see here, I have written the test case. If you see, I have written the test case here. Okay. Here we have done the seed and all that, right? Whatever the things, right? So this is the things, right? But you want to understand this, right? So version control, right? So it's because when we are configuring the DBT, right, at that time it will ask for the Git. So I will integrate with the Git, right? But in Snowflake we are not integrating with that. So versioning is not maintained, right? And in Snowflake, right, we are not doing any automate testing, right? Manual testing you can do it, right? You will write the select count is null and all that, right? Every time you need to do that, right? But here we are writing on the top of the model, right? Whatever the select query I have written, on the top of that I will written the test case. So whenever the DBT model will run, it will run the testing also done. Okay. Documentation, right? It will generate the documentation, right? So whatever the pipeline I generated, right? That documentation will be there, right? And one more thing, just a minute, where is my model? Hmm. I will show you a very simple example. You see this, right? This lineage will be there, right? So I'm talking about the model. What is it? Customer revenue, right? How it is coming, that? So I am getting from source fact, sorry, order fact and the customer stage, right? How the order fact is coming? It is coming from this, right? This lineage is there, right? Okay. So like my order fact is there, right? So how order fact is coming, right? So this order fact is coming from this, and this order fact is again consumed by this. So in the real time, we are getting this complex uh, pipeline, right? So these are the things which give the flexibility to from the DBT, right? Hope this is clear, right?
Is clear, but instead of we are new to the DBT related concepts. So first time means could you please can we explain for what is the model, how it's just you are high level, you are over, you are explaining, but instead of few things as per beginner level, how could we understand? Means that
See,
way you can proceed.
okay, okay. So
You,
see,
you are going
DBT.
for high level.
No, because this is a demo, right? So that's why it's a very high level. I need to cover everything, right? That's why. So let
Demo
me.
also, but rather you just whatever concept you just briefly you can explain as a beginner, and you can consider as a expert level, but you need to explain as level. It may be some people will be interested to, instead of you whatever the concept you cover much more lengthy, but some main points will be missing. Means all are new to things. Means it is
I
difficult
understood. I
to.
understood. Yeah, see, that's why I'm asking, right? See, I need to explain everything because in the demo, the peoples are, I have taken the beginner level, right? But peoples are saying we want end-to-end everything, what is there and all that, then we will think of that, right? So let me ask you let me tell you what is model, right? So suppose we have a receive a customer table in my Snowflake, okay? In that we have a 4 columns: customer ID, customer name, first name, last name, city, and revenue. Okay. So now what I have to do, I have to write a model. I need to create a, this is my table. Customer is my table. This is my raw table. From the raw schema, I will fetch the data. How I will fetch the data from raw schema? Select star from raw dot customer table, right? This is clear. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, yeah.
So I want to read it, right? So I want to read it. I'm not sharing the screen. 1 minute. Sorry, let me share the screen. You're able to see my screen, right? This diagram.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So assume that we see this part is already done by the Snowflake team. Okay. So now data is lying this only, right? My data is lying here only, this blue box. Okay. So what happened? My data is there. So assume that we have a customer table here. Okay. From the customer table, what business is saying that I want to clean the data. So what they are saying that you need to write some logic on that, right? So let me show you what logic, right, in the DBT. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So this is my table in the landing table data is there, right? So what they want, right? They want to do some transformation. So here I have given very simple transformation for understanding purpose. Here we can write whatever the logic, complicate whatever you want, right? So I have given very simple. I want to get the customer name, all the column. Additionally, customer name also I want. So I have created one model on this. Okay. And this model, when I run the model, right, it will create this table. Okay. This table, and that table, I will show you that table also. So once you understood this model I have written, right? SQL I have written. I run the model,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, understood. That in Snowflake, instead we one time will run, but instead of while repeatedly this task we need to do by DBT we can able to trigger the job,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we can proceed with whatever the which are all the end user will be want to see kind of data will the structure we are providing by using DBT.
Yes. So if you see here, right? Where is- okay. So this is my model, right? STG, right? STG. So it will be created here, right? If you see here, right? This is created, right? When I show you the data here, right? If you see, all the columns are there, and these column are coming, right? See, this is a very simple thing I am telling you, right? Now they will say that, okay, can you check that this email address are empty, right? I don't want that, right? What they don't want, right? They want to test that, right? This whenever I'm showing the data, right, it should field saying that how many records are, why we are doing the testing. once we receive the data, why we are doing the testing? We are verifying the data. Any null is there or not, or right? If anything is there, we need to tell to the source team this is coming as a null, right? How we will identify? If we write the test case. Otherwise, we can't do that, right? You're getting my point?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Similarly, right, if you see here, right, this order fact table, right? I have done an order fact table, right? See this here I am writing the SQL, right? If you see this, what is this here? I think you from Snowflake, right? So this is a transient table is created, right? Correct. But I show
Yeah,
you the I will show you the what is that order fact table.
yeah.
Order fact table. I have written a SQL. I have not written any DDL statement. You see that? I have not written any DDL. I have written only that simple join, right? I'm joining the two tables and doing that, right? But what in the target, what is happening? It is creating as a table, right? And just now I show you this stage, right? Here, what is creating? View is creating. So as per the requirement, how you want the object, right? We can define that with the DBT. Hope this make very basic. I show you, right? So here, see, I have created landing table is there. From the landing, it will go to processing. From processing, it will go to the consumption. So like that way, we have a layer like that way, right? So this is automatically taken care by the DBT. And how to do the incremental load and all that, right? That is also be done by here DBT. Okay. Hope this answer your question, right? What's your good name, please?
Govardhan.
Govardhan. Right.
No, is there?
So these things we are going to cover, right? So just only the prerequisite, you should know the SQL. That is only the main thing. If you know the SQL, we are ready to go on that, right? Just we are writing the select query, only select query, no else, and the join. Two things we require. Any other question, please?
You are using common expression also in this type of instead of selecting also.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, we are using that.
just you have told like join and select. That's the reason I'm asking.
No. See, common table expression is simple, right? People's are, I don't know why people are worried about that, right? It's a very simple thing, right? So if you don't write that common table expression also, it will work.
But
That
it
is
will
for
loading it will be take some columns instead of writing in select only. You can just a temporary table kind of will create and some other
yeah.
columns.
See, that is the way of writing the things, right? One person in our my company, right? He's always write everything in common table expression. One person is not writing anything, right? He's just writing the simple SQL, right? It's not like that way. It is required. It's mandatory, right? But it's a best practice. How we need to follow that now. Any question from anybody? So this course actually we are going to be start by next week, and the fees you have already seen that, right? It's a 6,999. Okay, if the peoples are enrolling this course today, right? So we are giving a 1,000 rupees of discount on this. Okay, and after that, right, we are planning for the increasing the fees and all that, because that's a things we got from the E-Tech team, right? If no question, then we can wind up. I think everybody is clear, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.